Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope all of you are doing well and in high spirits. My name is Cindy and I will be the moderator for today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to welcome you to the Ask Ambassador Anything session with His Excellency Dan Adrian Bălănescu, Ambassador of Romania to Indonesia. Our event today is part of the Europe Virtual Talks, Road to Europe Day 2021 that we are holding throughout this week. Ladies and gentlemen, Europe Day is a celebration of peace and unity in Europe that is celebrated every 9th of May. Every year, the European Union institutions in Europe and its offices all over the world organize a number of activities for people of all ages to mark the day and raise awareness about the EU. But despite not being able to celebrate Europe Day in a traditional physical manner, FPCI is delighted to work together with the delegation of the European Union in Jakarta in convening the Europe Virtual Talks, Road to Europe Day 2021, starting from May 1st to May 8th. This series acts as a platform for the Indonesian public to directly interact and converse with ambassadors or representatives of 10 European countries to gain further knowledge and insights about Europe, the EU, and its member states. So today we are joined by His Excellency Dan Adrian Bălănescu, Ambassador of Romania to Indonesia. Hello, Ambassador. His
Hello,
Excellency.
Good morning.
Good morning. His Excellency has prepared a very special presentation for us and is ready to answer as many questions as he can from the YouTube chat box. And of course, we're also joined by students from FPCI chapters across Indonesia, as well as the general public who are tuning in live on FPCI's YouTube channel. So thank you for participating and welcome to everybody. Now, before we move further, we would like to encourage all audience to stay tuned until the end of this virtual talk, because we will be having a quiz where you can win fun prizes from the European Union. For that, you can use your order confirmation number in your email inbox to register for the quiz on Kahoot later on. So make sure to stay tuned for that. We also encourage you to share your moments with us from this virtual talk by tagging @FPCIndo and @uni_Eropa using the hashtag EU4U and hashtag Europe Day 2021 on your social media posts. We also encourage you to ask the ambassador anything via our YouTube live chat box. Our committee will pick out the best questions and I will be reading them out. So please remember to keep your questions positive, constructive, and concise. Now, let us begin our discussion today by watching a video from the Embassy of Romania in Jakarta.
This is where I'm dreaming to be floating away. Beyond the mountains, the rivers, the colors, beyond time in all seasons. Only in this way could I embrace everything. This place does exist and is alive. You can feel it pulsating with life. You would really like Romania and the Romanians. These streets, shrouded in history, have been an inspiration for many a story and legend cozily narrated by the fireplace. This is the place where people are a story in themselves. A story to be told to everyone, whenever possible. This is the place where Count Dracula and the vampires were born. You could fall in love with our healthy lifestyle in the countryside, our traditional food, our music, and zest for life. Our towns are abuzz with life and colors, vibrant with people and light. Go to the Parliament Palace. It is the largest building in Europe. Visit our museums, art galleries, and memorial houses. Watch in admiration the architectural monuments, the fortified churches and the monasteries so deeply veiled in spirituality, the palaces and castles built on a rocky peak. A petulant mixture of history, culture, and pleasure. Dive down. We have reached the center of the earth. Climb up. We have reached the peak. We will be smiling to you wherever you might meet us. Romania is humming with life. Discover the land of parties and electrifying music festivals. Romania never sleeps and never tires. We love sports and we go for top performance. The first #1 in the history of tennis is Romanian.
Please visit Romania. For me, Romania is #1.
We have everything in the world. You have all the time in the world. Come to Romania.
A very beautiful video indeed on Romania. So without further ado, I would like to invite Ambassador Dan Adrian Bălănescu to deliver his remarks. Ambassador, the floor is yours.
First of all, I would like to thank for the kind invitation to be here today to ask anything, as the title of the show says. As we discussed a little before the start of the show, I will try to answer as many as possible of the questions. I cannot guarantee I will answer all of them, but I will do my best. A few words about me. I came in Indonesia at the end of last year. Before of that, I was head of mission in the Czech Republic and in Lithuania and Latvia. This means that my posting in Indonesia is my first one outside Europe, in Asia. So actually, it is very interesting for me to discover, first of all, your country, but also this region. I came here with my family. I have two children. My daughter is 17 and my boy is 10. They are going to school here in Jakarta. And of course, being an ambassador, my main objective is to strengthen the bilateral relations between our two countries, but also as because Romania is a EU member, I try also to strengthen and to develop relations between Indonesia and the EU. And all the more important is now because, as you mentioned before, we are celebrating Saturday, the Day of Europe. So this is a very important period for all of us here, European diplomats. And I hope also for the Indonesian public, we're trying to promote our countries, we're trying to promote European Union, and also we're trying to promote our very good cooperation. Because as we say, Indonesia and European Union member states, we are like-minded countries. So we really have a lot to work together on. We have a lot to develop. It is political relations. It is also economic relations between our two countries and between our two regions. But we also have cultural, educational, and all kinds of people-to-people relations, and so on. So I'm here to help with that. I'm here to contribute to this development. As you may know, we ambassador here in Jakarta. We are also ambassadors to ASEAN, which makes even more challenging our job because actually we are looking at all the region, South Eastern Asian region, with all the developments in all the countries. So it's really a complex task, which I'm trying to fulfill to the best of my abilities. But maybe it's enough now for the presentation, and we can head towards the questions. So we can start.
All right. All right, Ambassador. Thank you very much. Okay, so for the first question, I think we'll start with a light one. We have a question from Yasmin Rasidi from Jakarta. She's asking, what are the best tourist destinations in Romania?
First of all, thank you for this question. I hope you liked also the video that we posted before, because actually a lot of tourist destinations were featured in this video. If you ask me, maybe the most beautiful destinations in Romania are the mountainous ones. We have a lot of mountain resorts in Romania where you can do all kinds of winter sports. So this is for sure a good choice. Then, of course, maybe I will not talk about our seaside, because here in Indonesia you have a lot of seas and oceans. We have only one, the Black Sea. Of course, our seaside is nice, but it is difficult to promote European seaside to Indonesian tourists. You have a lot of it. But we have, for example, a very nice destination, a delta of the Danube. You know, the Danube is our main river that flows into the Black Sea. And at the place where this happens, it forms a delta, which is quite a very interesting spot. There are isolated communities there, fishermen communities who live by fishing. And many of them live on very small islands on the Danube. So quite an interesting place to discover, with lots of wildlife, lots of many kinds of fish, but also birds. This is a paradise for birds watching. Then a very beautiful region in Romania, it's in the north of the country, which is called Bucovina, in the north of Moldova, historical region. A very beautiful place with a lot of monasteries, which are on the tourist track also. So people who go to this region, really they like to visit these old monasteries, because they are from the 14th, 15th century, with very beautiful painting on them. One of them has a specific nuance of blue, which is called blue from Voronezh. So really nice artistic achievements with these churches. Not to speak about the cuisine in this region, which is very nice. All the people who visit Romania, they are very, very nicely surprised by the Romanian cuisine. To continue and to finish with the main tourist destination, maybe I will talk about Transylvania, because in general, this seems to be like a mythical place. also because it's the origin of the fictional character of Dracula that was mentioned in the movie. But actually, you may know that this Dracula character was inspired by a Romanian ruler called Vlad the Impaler, who was very just, very fair, but also quite tough in giving punishments. And from this toughness, practically the writer Bram Stoker imagined this character Dracula and placed him in Transylvania. And we have also a castle in which this Dracula character was supposed to have lived. So anyway, Transylvania is very interesting also for its very old villages, quite well preserved. You can go to some village in Transylvania and it's really like you are transposed into the past. All the buildings, even the way of life reminds of the distant past, because the very beautiful customs in that region are very well preserved by people, which perform them every year. So anyway, a lot to discover. And even for the modern tourist who prefers modern destinations like, I don't know, restaurants, bars, or music festivals, there is a lot to offer in Romania. Maybe not now because of the pandemic, but hopefully we will get over it and just get back to our normal life, where you can enjoy all these kind of events.
Thank you, Ambassador. Moving on to our second question. We have Nenes Istikoma from Ostrach. She would like to ask, how does Romania manage the large gold mines? Because as we know, in Europe, Romania is the biggest source of gold mine.
Yeah, I know that also Indonesia has some very big gold mines, maybe the biggest in the world, if I'm not mistaken. Well, in Romania, traditionally, we have a lot of gold and silver deposits. But nowadays, there are a lot of discussions surrounding these gold mines, because many of the methods of getting the gold from below the surface of the earth, they involve some chemical substances which are not very good for the environment. So there is a lot of discussions between those who support continuing the exploitation of the mines and those who are more in favor of protecting the environment. And it is not only the protection of the environment, but also it is the protection of the cultural heritage, because one of the biggest gold mines from the Roșia Montana locality is in an area which is very rich in historical artifacts, in Roman vestige. So it is a question of preserving those historical constructions and also exploiting the gold mines. So I would say the issue now is rather controversial because this need to protect the environment and the cultural heritage is quite strong in Romania.
Thank you, Ambassador. Our next question, we have Adrian from Magelang. He's asking about the future of the immigration policy between Romania and Indonesia. Has there been any changes relating to the COVID pandemic?
Yes, there have been. When we talk about immigration, I'm not sure if we talk about short-term travels or long-term travels to our countries, but for sure, COVID has affected the exchange of populations between our two countries. because, for example, the main tourist destination in Indonesia for Romanian tourists is Bali, and Bali is still closed. Hopefully it will open in the summer, but maybe for more than 1 year was closed. So many Romanians who wanted to come here as tourists, they were not able to come. Except for those, there are a number of Romanians who work here in Indonesia in multinational companies. And those, of course, they continue to do their job. Maybe for some periods they have worked from home, but as far as I know, mostly they are here in Indonesia. The two main communities are in Jakarta and in Bali. There are a number of Romanians also who are married with Indonesian citizens, and they are living both in Indonesia and in Romania. And actually, we are continuously receiving at the embassy requests for, for documents preparations from Romanian citizens and from Indonesian citizens that want to marry each other. Maybe it is just my impression, but most of the couples are formed by Romanian men and Indonesian women. At least that's what I noticed so far. There are also Indonesians that go to Romania. Most of them, I would say, they go for work. There are many contracts between Romanian companies and Indonesian workforce placement agencies that bring tens or hundreds of Indonesian workers to Romania. Actually, because of the pandemics, especially during the most difficult phases of the pandemics, the access not only to Romania but to the European Union was suspended because only essential travels were permitted. Nowadays, we are starting actually to open the issuing of visas for Indonesian workers that want to go to Romania. And my impression is that the number will grow, maybe towards, I don't know, hundreds per year or even thousands per year. It is difficult to say, but in time for sure it will grow. And there is a big interest and I believe a growing interest from Indonesian students or Indonesian graduates to travel to Romania to continue their studies, either at university level or in post graduate level, even doctoral studies and so on. And if I am correct with the figures, this year we had about 600 applications from Indonesian students wanted to go to Romania to study. So in a nutshell, indeed the pandemic made difficult the exchange of people during this time, but step by step, while the vaccination campaigns continue in both countries, hopefully the people exchanges will resume and Romanians will be able to come to Indonesia and Indonesians to come to Romania. Although, of course, the distance between our two countries is quite big. I myself remember the travel last year. It was about 16 or 17 hours, but still people are coming to both our countries. I think Indonesia is rather known in Romania, and we are trying also to make Romania known here in Indonesia. Mostly in the sense that Romania should know that Indonesia is more than Bali. Many are talking about Bali, but actually there are lots of beautiful destinations here in Indonesia. which can be discovered by Romanians. I myself am trying to discover them during my mandate here.
Thank you, Ambassador. I'm sure you'll have plenty of time to travel around Indonesia. Because have you been to Bali, Ambassador?
Yes, 2 times so far.
Many more times to come. Anyways, moving on to the next question. We have Rifki from UIN, Jakarta. He asked, I want to know what is the most delicious food that we can try when we are traveling in Romania. Is there any authentic Romanian food that we can try here in Indonesia?
Well, this is a difficult question because actually, so far I haven't discovered a place where you can have Romanian food. What is struck me about Indonesia and Jakarta when I came here was the great number of ethnic restaurants. So actually, you can find here lots of restaurants from all over the world, not only Asia, but European, South American, but not Romanian. So maybe some Romanian entrepreneur will have the idea sometime to open a Romanian restaurant where you can taste our delicious food. But until that time, I think the easiest way is to go to Romania. It is difficult to say which is the best or the tastiest Romanian food, especially because we have different types of cuisine in our different historical regions. As I mentioned, Moldova is famous for its cuisine, but also Transylvania has a very nice specific. And the region next to the Black Sea, which is called Dobroja, also has more of a Mediterranean cuisine. But actually, the most, maybe there are 2 famous Romanian foods, which you probably didn't hear of. One, it is called stuffed cabbage leaves. And as you can imagine by the name, it is done by stuffing cabbage leaves with a pork or other kind of meat and rice. And the other one is called tripe soup, which is a rather sour soup with tripe from beef tripe. So I think those are most popular, and if you go to Romania, for sure you can find them in most restaurants.
Thank you, Ambassador. Now, the next question is from Fatih Avicena from University of Oradea. She would like to know if the Romanian embassy has any partners with Indonesian universities. And maybe adding on to that, are there any scholarships from any Romanian universities for Indonesian students?
You mentioned she is from Oradea.
Yes, correct.
It means she is already with a scholarship there, I imagine, most probably. We have good contacts with Indonesian universities, like University of Indonesia. For the time being, we do not have a formalized cooperation agreement between universities, but actually there are discussions, and possibly in the not so distant future, there will be some agreements. For example, when I was in my previous posting in Lithuania, I supported this conclusion of an agreement between Lithuanian and Romanian universities, so I can also use that experience here in Indonesia. As I mentioned, there are scholarships, but the scholarships are given mostly by the Romanian government, not by specific universities. And different Romanian universities are participating in this program. So actually, every year the Foreign Ministry publishes the list with universities participating in this governmental program in Romania, and Indonesian students, they can apply while choosing a certain university at a different level, graduate level, doctoral level, and so on, mastership level. And this is now the procedure for going to Romanian universities. And actually this program is quite good because it covers all the years of study, and with a scholarship, and also with some scholarship funds to get by. So yes, more and more, actually, more and more Indonesian students, as I mentioned, they know about this program and they apply. It is quite a successful program, I would say.
Thank you, Ambassador. Our next question is from Maharani Nurul from Cilacap. She's asking you what Romania is currently doing to tackle climate change.
Yes, of course. This is a topic of great interest all over the world, not specifically in Romania. What Romania is doing is mostly inside the European Union, because we have all kinds of targets with the level of emissions and some deadline for reducing those level of emissions as national targets inside the European Union, but also as part of the Paris Climate Agreement. Anyway, maybe Romania is not the most affected country with the climate change, like small insular nations, for example, but it is felt because I personally remember that the temperatures have risen since my childhood and now. For example, the winters were different 20 years ago, let's say, than they are now. Now are quite mild winters, more of a Mediterranean style, while 20, 30 years ago we had quite cold winters with a lot of snow. So the climate change actually is happening before our eyes. And as it is known, these carbon dioxide emissions are contributing both to the climate change and to pollution. So it is a double objective to reduce that. We are cooperating also with both at the bilateral, but mostly at the EU level. We are cooperating with Indonesia, and we make exchange of experience between our two countries. We are both dealing with these targets set up in the Paris Agreement, which we are trying to fulfill. There are programs done by the European Union towards Indonesia to support with its goals of climate change. You may know that every year we are launching a book about the partnership of EU and Indonesia, and it is called the Blue Book. This year it was launched this week as part of the events to celebrate Europe Day, and it is dedicated to this partly climate change combating efforts. It is called Green Recovery, because, as you know, there is some kind of a consensus at a global level that the recovery from this terrible pandemic should be green, in the sense that we should invest in green industries in our economies as part of the economic recovery. So there are lots of programs that support green energy renewable energies, like electric cars, all kinds of economic industries that are environmental friendly as part of this very complex endeavor to reduce climate change. So there is a lot on the agenda.
Thank you, Ambassador. Our next question is from Yuja Ramano from Unpad, from Bandung. She is asking if Romania has a certain strategy to promote its tourism in Indonesia.
Yes, I should be dealing with this strategy as part of my agenda as ambassador. Yes, we have, of course, we have, for example, this kind of materials that you posted before, we are trying to promote with many occasions. This pandemic period actually made a little difficult to continue with the promotion because all these promotions are supposed to be an interaction with the public. And before we were organizing different events to meet with the Indonesian public to speak about different Romanian touristic destinations and so on. Now we are limiting to online materials, but hopefully we can go back to that. And there are different kinds of events and campaigns that we can use to promote Romanian tourism. It's by presenting different materials about Romanian tourism, or by participating to some tourist fairs here in Indonesia, or we can have meetings with the travel agencies to include Romania among destinations. So we're trying to do as much as we can to promote Romania as a tourist destination to Indonesia. Even this event, to be frank, a part of it is also dedicated to the promotion of Romania as a tourist destination, because you had a glimpse of what you can see in Romania. I spoke before about some tourist destination, but in a nutshell, I think Romania is a beautiful country, naturally speaking. So somehow it is similar to Indonesia, which is also a very naturally beautiful country. Like we have here quite impressive nature. We also have in Romania one of the last species of carnivores in Europe live in Romania, like brown bears or wolves, or I don't know, lynx live in Romania. So this is quite interesting, especially for countries which are not that rich in wildlife. But of course, Indonesia is a rich one. Maybe for Indonesians, this historical part of Romania could be interesting, because you may know that Romania was formed by colonization of the Roman Empire. So we can find lots of Roman vestige in Romania, which can be visited, and also very beautiful castles or fortified churches from the Middle Ages. So you can really discover lots of historical places in Romania which you can visit. So probably we should focus on this one, which could be more interesting for the Indonesian tourists. So yes, we are trying to do our best in this direction.
Thank you, Ambassador. Earlier, in one of your answers, you mentioned about Transylvania. And me personally, if I ever had the chance to go to Romania, Transylvania would be my #1 destination. And I think many of the audience feel the same way. So we have a question from Ella from Jambi. She's asking if there are any fun stories about Transylvania. So are there any village myths or scary stories, or maybe even Dracula sightings near the villages that you know of?
Well, I was discussing some time ago with an Indonesian person who said that he wants to travel to Romania to learn about Dracula and Frankenstein. Frankly speaking, we don't have Frankenstein in Romania. It's only the Dracula legend that has its origins in Romania. And by extension, you can say that the scary feature of Romania is these vampire things. So if you want to be scared by vampires, you can go to Transylvania and visit some vampire castles. You can even live there for a number of nights, and for sure you'll be quite scared afterwards. But frankly speaking, yes, Transylvania has this somehow a legend about being a more mystical or magic land with all kinds of legends and stories. Also because there are a lot of old castles in Transylvania, and you know, the old castles, they somehow trigger imaginations. We can imagine all kinds of things about these old castles, which are built on some very steep cliff on a mountain, which are quite beautiful. So yes, there is a specific tourist destination of historical castle in Romania, and you can focus on that one and visit those places. I can tell you that the most famous castle in Romania is called the Bran Castle. It is very beautiful because it has been renovated quite recently. It is in the middle of Transylvania, next to the city of Brașov, which is a starting point for going to mountain resorts. So you can combine visiting this castle or other castles in Transylvania and also visiting mountain resorts in the Brașov region. Another very beautiful castle, but a little more recent, is Peleș Castle. That was the castle of the Romanian kings. Romania became a kingdom towards the end of the 19th century, and this castle was inhabited by our first king, which was called Charles I. So anyway, it's really very nice. It's in the style of German castles, because Charles I was came from a German family. So yeah, I invite you to go to Transylvania and discover all kinds of features there.
Thank you, Ambassador. I definitely will. So we have a few questions lined up regarding Indonesia-Romania relations. So our first one is from James Siantar from Universitas Sumatera Utara, that's Northern Sumatra. He says, "Dear Ambassador, what does Indonesia mean for Romania? And which aspects of Indonesia-Romania diplomatic relations do you think need to be strengthened?"
This is a difficult question, and we discussed before not to choose the most difficult questions for me. I will still try to answer. Well, it is difficult to say exactly what Indonesia means for Romania, but my impression is that maybe as Romania have some kind of a magical image here in Indonesia because of these legends with Dracula and so on, maybe also Indonesia has some mystery image in Romania because it is a very distant country for once. So not a lot of Romanians have chance or the possibility to travel here. And we can imagine all kinds of things about distant countries. As I mentioned, Bali is very well known here in Indonesia. But talking about mystery countries, for example, I think Romanians, when they speak about Indonesia, they have also in mind the Papua, let's say, region where there are supposed to live the last tribes of cannibals in the world. So this is quite a very exotic image. But also, of course, Indonesia for Romanians, it is seen like the biggest country in the Southeast Asian region. It is seen, and of course, it is naturally the biggest democracy here in the region, the most populous democracy, which is very important because actually this is what makes our two countries like-minded. And it is very important to have this democracy in place for the bilateral cooperation to develop. Indonesia, of course, it's a country with a very rich production of staple products. People know about Indonesian coffee, for example. Somehow Java coffee is quite famous in Romania and in the world. I have found out not a long time ago that even the computer programming language Java comes from the Java coffee, because the inventor was a fan of this coffee. Indonesian spices, of course, are very, very well known in Romania. Not to say about the palm oil, which is also quite known. But recently, I think Indonesia has started to profile as a country of innovation, and there probably we are on the same platform. Because in Romania also the digital economy is developing quite fast, quite steadily. So it is like digital education, it is e-commerce and all these kinds of things, which are going quite well in both our countries. And actually, these are domains that can be very easily used in developing our economic cooperation, because it is much easily to export digital products and digital services than physical goods. So I think we can dwell upon these things. I know there are Romanian investments in IT, in all kinds of digital services here in Indonesia, and they are developed quite well and quite easily. And probably also Indonesian digital economy can export its products and services to Romania. And my impression is this is the field where we should focus, because so far a lot of bilateral exports were about staple products like palm oil from Indonesia or wheat from Romania, for example, which is very, very important. But the potential of digital economy is really, really quite strong. And especially in this recovery from the pandemics, this motto of building back better and greener, I plan to focus also on the embassy, here at the embassy, to promote digital exchanges and digital trade, digital exchanges between e-products and services between Romania and Indonesia. Probably the field of cooperation with the biggest potential.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, for that very detailed answer. You managed to answer 3 questions in one go. So that also answered the question of Satrio from FPCI UIN Jakarta and Nauli from FPCI chapter UPF East Java. So again, thank you for your questions, and Ambassador, thank you for your answer. Moving on to the next question, we have one more question on Indonesia and Romania. This is Vita from Central Java. She would like to ask, what is your opinion about the cultural differences between Indonesia and Romania? So maybe if I could specify, what about the differences of the people, maybe the personalities of Indonesians and Romanians, and also what are the similarities, if there are any?
Yeah, so, well, I haven't been here for a long time. It's only several months. And because of the pandemic, I didn't have the chance to travel around Indonesia to discover different people and different places. So my knowledge about Indonesia is not very developed yet. Of course, I had a chance to interact with people here in Jakarta and in some other places that I traveled to, like, as I mentioned, Bali. So I have made some image about Indonesian people and culture. Of course, there are differences in traditions from Romania and Indonesia. There are differences in cultural traditions, in music, in arts in general, but at the same time, I think Romanians and Indonesians, they are not very different in the sense that from what I witness here, both Romanians and Indonesians are quite open people, in the sense they are very welcoming, they are very open to foreigners, they are open to different cultures. Both our people, we want to discover other cultures, other traditions. We are good hosts, both in Romania and in Indonesia. When I travel through Romania to different destinations, for example, Romanian and foreign tourists, they are received very well by very welcoming and very smiling people, which actually I noticed also here in Indonesia. Indonesians are quite open and smiling people, just like in Romania. Probably, to be frank, Indonesia is richer culturally than Romania. Although we in Europe are very proud with our very diverse culture from our regions, but here in Indonesia, it's even more than that. I discovered that here you speak, Indonesians, they speak more than 700 languages or so. So this is a very, very interesting feature of the Indonesian culture because of the specificity of Indonesia, which is a country with 17,000 islands or so, out of which many are inhabited. Naturally, the people living on all these islands have developed in time different cultures, different languages, different traditions. So it is an extremely rich cultural country, Indonesia. And for that, I am quite happy to be here to serve in your country because I have a lot to discover, and I'm quite anxious to travel to different regions and to go into different cultures, which I can also afterwards speak about in Romania. So what I'm trying to do is to bring different Romanian cultural traditions here in Indonesia, not only in Jakarta, but to different regions, to present different aspects of our culture, and at the same time to discover the Indonesian culture and to speak about it in Romania, so that we become more familiar with each other, and probably in that situation the interest to visit each other will grow, which is actually one of our objectives here at the embassy, to stimulate the people-to-people exchanges. So yeah.
Thank you, Ambassador. A quick question from Salsa from Jakarta. She says, if you don't mind, can you recommend us a book to read to get to know Romania, its people, and its culture better? Any good books, Ambassador?
Yes. Unfortunately, I think there are not many Romanian books translated into Indonesian. So probably those who would like to read Romanian books would have to find maybe English versions or so. And at the same time, I'm not sure many Indonesian books are translated into Romania, so it is the same. We have to use English as a intermediary language. Probably the one who like to read Romanian literature will have to read first the work of our greatest poet, which is who is Mihai Eminescu. He's our national poet and our national writer. So practically, he's the one who created the modern Romanian language. Through his poems, he used such a language which afterwards was used as the modern language in Romania. And even now, although he wrote in the 19th century, even now in the 21st century, his poems are very easily read. The language is quite modern, and although the images that he creates are complex, the language is very simple. So you can and very rhythmic. So you can read quite easily his poems, which I recommend. Then, of course, there are some Romanian famous books which can be read to understand more about Romania. One of those books is called Ion. This is a name, the most common Romanian male name, Ion, which would be translated John in English. And this is a book written by a writer called Liviu Rebreanu at the beginning of the 20th century. If you read that book, you really can understand a lot about Romanian soul, Romanian rural people. Then going or coming closer to our day, it is another novel about a Romanian village, which is called Moromeții. This is written by a writer called Marin Preda. This is the name of the family which he's talking about, Moromeții, the family. Then, of course, there are famous Romanian writers, not only in Romania, but abroad. And I can recommend books by Mircea Eliade. He was famous for his books about the history of religions. Then it is a Romanian writer called Eugen Ionescu. He was a playwright. He lived mostly in France and wrote his books in French. Then coming even to our present days, I can recommend a poet. She's called Ana Blandiana. Maybe she's the most awarded Romanian poet at present. She got a lot of international awards. She wrote also prose, but mostly poetry. So in a nutshell, these are a number of writers that I would recommend to make an image about Romanian culture and literature.
Thank you, Ambassador. Now we have one fun question here. He says, Ambassador, I came across one interesting fact that Romanians are known for facing troubled times by making fun of themselves and the situation. Is that true? And could you perhaps tell us something funny about Romania?
Yeah, it is true because we had some tough times in our recent history. We have the communist dictator not a long time ago, from which we escaped in 1989. So it was a dictatorship period where people were not allowed to speak freely. So it was kind of difficult, and these interdictions were felt everywhere, in the workplace, at school, in the street, in culture, in literature, in arts, and so on. So people in Romania, they developed a kind of sense of humor to get by. So they actually told a lot of jokes between themselves to make life easier. So yes, this can be said, but what I noticed, I don't know if it is a sign that things go better in Romania than before, but lately there are not a lot of jokes created in Romania. I hope this does not mean the Romanians lost the sense of humor. I hope it means that the life is more relaxed now in Romania and we don't have so much to laugh about. But probably this is still a characteristic of the Romanians to to mock their own life to make it more bearable. Because if you laugh at something, that something doesn't seem so much serious and so much threatening than if you treat it very seriously. So sometimes we laugh even at the difficult things that we have to face in life.
Thank you, Ambassador. Now, you mentioned communism, Ambassador. We do have a few questions just asking about that. So this is from Kurnia from Padang. She would like to ask, how did Romania transition from communism to a democracy and then to become an EU member? So maybe just like a short history lesson, Ambassador, of the key events that happened during the transition.
Yeah. So first of all, this what we call revolution, which means the fall of communism, happened in December 1989, when people came out on the streets and they got rid of the dictator, Nicolae Ceausescu. And from that point on, the transition started. During Ceausescu time, only one political party was allowed, the Communist Party of Romania. But afterwards, a lot of political parties appeared. Historical political parties that were forbidden by the communists came back to life again after the revolution, like the Liberal Party, for example, who is even now in power. So we organized free elections. The first free elections were organized in May 1990 parliamentary and presidential elections. And from that moment, we have advanced with democracy, not in the sense that the legal system changed all the time, because that was done in the first years after the anti-communist revolution. But people learned more about democracy in the sense that you have to participate in elections, you have to follow what is happening in the country, to understand, to have a voice, to speak freely. Of course, this public debate about things which is at the base of the democracy developed in time. During communist time, we had only one television which emitted 2 hours per day. And those 2 hours per day were censored, in the sense only the official version of the party was told at the television. But afterwards, lots of television, private television, appeared in Romania, which allowed all people to express themselves. So this contributed a lot to building the democracy, the free expression. Then, of course, books were written, even by writers who couldn't publish their books during communism. Actually, the truth was told about the communist period. It is very important to tell the truth, because from that point on, we can develop and become free. And nowadays, with all these means of communications like the social media, people are really quite free in Romania to say whatever they want, to express themselves, to express their opinions about any issue. And I think the authorities, they look at the people, what they think is not only from opinion polls, but from all this social network where people discuss about vaccination now, for example, about religion, about education, about health, about everything. And it is very important for the authorities just to look what people think and what about they say. With the accession to the European Union, of course, it was a process of harmonization between our legislation and the European Union legislation, which maybe put some difficulties at some times. But I think currently most of the legislations is uniform in Romania and the European Union. And this legislation also contributed to strengthen the Romanian democracy, because you have to have quite good laws, and those laws should be observed so that the state functions well. And now we have this system of laws in place, and people can talk about them, and this debate continues to enrich our democracy.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Now, since we are running out of time, I'll just take 2 more questions, if you don't mind.
Please.
Yes. So the second to last question, this is from Rex from Bali. He is asking, I'm curious what makes you want to be a diplomat, and can you tell me more about your personal experience in becoming an ambassador?
Yes. Well, to connect a little bit with the last question, during communism, because of the censorship, a lot of Romanians wanted to become engineers, because engineer is a profession which is not ideologically affected. The ideology has no place in engineering. So I myself wanted to be an engineer, but I was in the middle of this process when the revolution came, and then a lot of possibilities opened for me, and I followed the international business relation faculty in Romania, which again opened a lot of pathways. And I was interested in foreign affairs. I was following what is happening in the world in different countries. And this combination of my academic instruction as an international business professional and my interest about international and global developments actually prompting me to think about becoming a diplomat. So in a nutshell, while I was doing my military service some time ago in Romania, I used my free time there because there was some free time, and I read, I prepared myself for the entry exam in the foreign ministry. I took that exam and I passed it, and so I became a diplomat. I worked first of all in the OSCE department, and I was dealing with the Romanian OSCE chairmanship in 2002. And then I had my first posting in the Czech Republic, where I advanced until the level of the head of mission. And probably that was the moment which helped me continue with the career as an ambassador. And my first posting as a full ambassador was in Lithuania and Latvia, and now it continued. We have this some kind of a rotation in the sense that it is better to change from time to time the region to which you are traveling. So I chose Indonesia as something new for me. So in a nutshell, this is the way someone should follow to become a diplomat, to study in some specialty related to international relations, and then to go in the foreign ministry and to advance step by step from a diplomatic position to that of the head of mission, which happens in time, not overnight, but in time.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, for your answer. There are actually a lot of students watching that are from international relations major, so I'm sure that your answer very much helped them. Now, moving on to our last question, Ambassador. Since this is in preparation for Europe Day, I saved this question for last. This is from Axel from Unpar, Bandung. He asked, for you personally and for Romania as a country, what does the European Union mean? And is there any special celebration of Europe Day in your country?
Yes, for me personally, of course, it is very important that Romania is part of the European Union, because we in Romania have had all the time this feeling that we are a part of the bigger Europe. We were separated by the bigger Europe during communist time. We live behind the Iron Curtain, as we called it in Romania, and we have always wanted to be part of the bigger Europe. So it was a very desired objective and goal in Romania, both for the leadership of the country and for the population.
Ambassador, I think you've lost connection. Hello, Ambassador. To our audience, if you could just wait a few moments as the ambassador has a few technical difficulties. Hello, Ambassador.
Yes, hello. I think disconnected.
Yes, that's all right. If you could continue.
Yeah, so I was saying that indeed the European Europe Day is an important celebration also in Romania. There are lots of events. There are meetings and debates with the population in Romania to speak about Europe, to speak about different European
Sorry, Ambassador, the connection is breaking up. Maybe you could try turning off the camera and then turning it on again to see if the audio will work better. For our audience, please wait a moment. Hi, Ambassador.
I'm back again. Yeah.
Yes. You can continue.
Yes, I repeat. I'm not sure if what I said was was heard because at some point interrupted. So I will just finish saying that indeed Europe Day is a big celebration in Romania where authorities and European officials they meet with the public and discuss all the main topics on the European agenda. Now the biggest topic being this recovery after the pandemic. So what shall we do to recover and even to be better than before?
Okay, thank you very much, Ambassador. Now, I'm sure everyone still has so many questions, but unfortunately, due to time constraints, we can't take them all. But I'd like to give a big thank you to Ambassador Dan Adrian Bălănescu for answering all of our questions today. And of course, to all the participants for your questions. It was a very insightful discussion, and I believe that a lot of us have learned a lot here today about Romania. And before we close, we have actually prepared a fun quiz for the audience today. And if you answer the questions correctly and quickly, you will be receiving a goodie bag with cool gifts and prizes. Now, Ambassador Bălănescu, you are most welcome to stay, but you are also welcome to leave if you have another agenda after this. So perhaps if you would like to deliver any closing statements, Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Well, I would like to thank you also very much for this possibility to be in contact with the public. We are diplomats are mostly doing official contacts, but we are very glad that from time to time we have this opportunity to speak with the population, with the public, with the citizens. So thank you very much. It was a very nice discussion. The questions were very interesting. I hope I was able to answer as good as I could for them. And I wish all the best to your public and to yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. We loved having you as our speaker today, and we hope to see you again in a future event. Moving on to the quiz. So ladies and gentlemen, for our quiz today, we will be using the Kahoot platform. Now it's very easy. So let me just read out the instructions before we start. Firstly, please use a second screen or a second device and make sure not to close your YouTube tab. So to join the game, you can open another tab and go to www.kahoot.it. Make sure that's .it, India Tango, not India Delta. And then you can enter the game pin, which is displayed on your screen. So the game pin for today's game is 8503422. 8503422. For the nickname, you can use your order confirmation number as the nickname. And for the order confirmation number, you can find it in your ticket in the email sent to you by Eventbrite. Now, we highly suggest focusing your attention on the quiz instead of the YouTube live stream, as there might be a slight delay on YouTube. At the end of the Kahoot quiz, there will be 3 winners that will get prizes from the European Union. So if you are one of the winners, make sure to take a screenshot as proof of winning. And lastly, Please contact our staff immediately after the quiz to claim your prizes by sending a direct message to @FPCIndo on Instagram, providing your personal details and the screenshot of your Kahoot. So we will give some time for more players. We have 20 players lined up so far. Again, the game pin on Kahoot is 850-3422 on kahoot.it. And then use your order confirmation number as your nickname, and you can find that in the email sent to you by Eventbrite. So let's just wait for a couple more people before we start. Make sure to answer the questions as correctly and as quickly as possible so that you can get the most points. And remember that if you are one of the winners, one of the 3 winners, please take a screenshot of the page and immediately contact our staff at FPCIndo on Instagram. So let's begin. What is the capital of Romania? Make sure to answer as quickly as possible so that you can get the most points. Four seconds left. 3, 2, 1. And the correct answer is Bucharest. 5 people said Budapest. Similar names, but not the same. Second question. Which famous literary character originates from Romania? Is it Mephistopheles? Is it Dracula? Is it Frankenstein? Or is it Taras Bulba? Have you been paying attention to the ambassador's lecture? Yes, and the correct answer is Dracula, specifically in Transylvania. The third question is, what river crosses Romania? Is it the Neris River, the Danube River, the Daugava River, or the Vltava River? Five seconds left. This was also mentioned earlier. And the correct answer is the Danube River. Fourth question, what is Romania's national anthem? Is it Three Colors, Our Language, Awaken Romanian, or Be Brave? We've only got 17 answers so far. And the correct answer is Awaken Romanian. Fifth question, what is Romania famous for? Is it the Palace of the Grand Dukes, the Palace of Parliament, the House of Blackheads, or the Dancing House? 5 seconds left. It is the Palace of Parliament. Sixth question, what is Romania's national animal? Is it the rabbit? Is it the wolf? Is it the lynx? Or is it the bear? I also remember hearing this mentioned in our discussion earlier. It is the lynx. Who is Romania's national poet? I'm too afraid to pronounce these names, if I'm going to be honest. So you can choose for yourself. All right, 3 seconds left. And the answer is Mihai and Minescu. And the last question, who is Romania's greatest football player? Again, you can answer as quickly as you can, as correctly as you can. We have 6 seconds left on the clock, and the winner will be announced soon after this. And the correct answer, so these are the prize winners, number 3, number 2, and the first prize winner. So we've come to the end of the quiz. Congratulations to all the winners. So again, as a reminder, please screenshot this page and contact us via Instagram DM to claim your prizes. So you can kindly provide us with your name, your address, your phone number, as well as this screenshot for verification purposes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we finally have come to the end of our session today. So thank you so much, Ambassador Bălănescu, for your valuable time. And on behalf of FPCI, I would also like to extend our gratitude to the Embassy of Romania in Jakarta, the delegation of the European Union to Indonesia, and of course to all the audience on YouTube who has participated today. I would also like to remind everyone that we still have several Ask Ambassador Anything sessions that is part of Europe Virtual Talks Road to Europe Day 2021. So later at 2 p.m. we will have Her Excellency Judith Pach, Ambassador of Hungary to Indonesia, and that is at 2 p.m. So make sure to stay tuned to that session as well. So for more information and to register, please visit bit.ly/Europe Virtual Talks. Thank you, and we hope to see you at our future events, and happy Europe Day.